Good morning, everyone. In today's video, I'm going to discuss tree removals here at Ironwood Golf Club. Yesterday, we just finished our last major golf event of the season. And this morning, I'm taking a stroll around the course and start planning for what we're going to be doing this winter with tree removals. So it's a touchy subject, and I'm going to discuss the reason why we are removing the certain trees that we are and the benefits of doing it, and hopefully give you guys a better understanding of what's going on. So stay tuned. You know, a good reason why to take this time to start taking a look at these trees is we've gone through the heat of the season. We're still in the heat of the season, but it's really showing where your stress spots are. Not only are we doing this, in regards to trees, but we do this for drainage improvement, irrigation additions, the full course walkthrough. And you're just really diagnosing what's going on and how we can improve these areas. So yeah, like I said, taking a look at the trees today, we are doing some tree plantings. I'm trying to put in golf course trees. The saying, it's the right tree in the right place, and that's what we're trying to do. So a lot of these trees do come in play, and it affects how you play the hole. So, we got to be careful on which ones we're taking down, and so on and so forth. So it's a lot of calculations go into these removals. Here's a great example of a surface rooting tree. To my left used to be a cottonwood. We actually removed this last winter, but its roots, you can see, has destroyed the cart path. It's actually heaved it up, and golfers no longer want to drive on it. I don't blame them. I don't either. So what happens when they drive around this heaved cart path, it starts to compact the area around and starts to kill off the grass. So we removed the tree. We'll end up grinding down the stump. We actually just sprayed herbicide. It's tried to sucker back on us, but you can see we obviously took care of that. Now that we addressed the problem by removing the tree, hopefully here in the near future we can fix the cart path. This is a good example of another surface rooting tree. In particular, this is a locust, and they're actually kind of littered all along down the right hand side of our cart path here. But as you can see, we got some very thin spots. Some of it is attributed to the shade, and you can see kind of getting some clouds and sun here, but this whole right side of the fairway is all season pretty much through the shade. And as the seasons change, we go into spring and fall, the sun angle changes and it actually dips down below this tree line. So we experienced some thin turf over here. But I wanted to show you guys specifically the locust tree and what its roots do to our fairways. Not only does it thin out our turf, but our mowers. We got some pretty fine-tuned equipment with bed knives and reels, and when you get a surface root like that, and you can see up here, it's actually gone all throughout this fairway here. It really can screw up our mowers, and to fix them isn't cheap. So here's a good example just of some surface roots from a nearby locust tree. Yeah, look at these guys. Here's some big roots. And yeah, so this is another example of just how, you know, these trees can really affect what we're doing here. And you see the size of this root. If you take that root in comparison to a grass root, who you think's going to win for water and nutrients? 100% is going to be the tree root. So, and you can see pretty much from here to about here where it's reaching. I mean, it's pretty roughed up. Over here, it's pretty clean. So it's just showing what those roots can wreak some havoc. This area in particular is one of my favorites, if you want to call it a favorite, in regards to tree removal. You can see we have some stumps right here, and you probably can't tell, you know, in this video, but that's probably, the closest one's probably 20 feet away. The others are maybe 30 to 40 feet. But you can see these are all cottonwoods. Man, they just totally can screw up some turf. And we removed these 2 years ago because this green looks a whole hell of a lot better than what it did, you know, before we took those down. Pretty much this whole front corner right here would just be so thin. I mean, it'll almost be, it was like 50% grass, 50% dirt. It was rough no matter how much nutrients, you know, how many things we sprayed on it and how much water we gave it. It just couldn't compete with these 100 to 110 foot tall trees. And again, I know cottonwoods, their root systems are 2 to 3 times as large as their drip line. So if those trees, you know, again, branch out as far as they do, the roots pretty much go all the way to the water. We have water on this side, which they love, and then behind that hill right there is a creek. So this is ideal spot. That's why there's so many cottonwoods over here. But yeah, we removed those, ground down the stumps, and even though we still have some standing over here, the green has improved immensely. This tee box here, this is 8 lakes or 17 lakes, is a great example of another issue that trees cause. And you can see it is completely surrounded by shrubbery, trees. It's just a pocket of dead air. Now this is interesting because it's pretty windy today, and as you can see up in the trees, wind is moving, which is what you want. You want air movement. You want sunlight to be able to hit the tee box or the fairway, the grass plant. But if you get down here where all the shrub is, or where the grass plants are, this is not moving at all. So that's what another issue, you know, with trees and shrubbery. It blocks the necessities of turf grass to thrive. And I mean, this tee box is just, I mean, it's surrounded by not only trees, you know, that means their roots are going under this, and it just struggles. It struggles to survive. Again, we do what we can with water management and everything. And actually back in this corner back here, there used to be a whole bunch of trees. I removed those about 5 years ago to help get some sunlight on it. And you can already see it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and it's sitting in the shade. So that's just another problem that trees pose on the golf course, and it's something that we have to combat and come up with a way to help improve these conditions. This is Seven Valley Greens Complex. This is a good example of some tree issues we had in a couple winters ago. Cameron actually led the project of clearing quite a bit. I think it was around 40 trees around this complex, but you can see we still got some shade. It's 9 o'clock, August 31st in the morning, and 90% of the green's still covered in shade. Anyway, we ended up opening the back here. Allows for good wind movement. This is where the fairway is. Basically, you play up here and you shoot up towards the green. Cleared a whole bunch around here, backed a lot off. And this is southwest, so the wind is now able to come across. It can blow across the green, head out that way. It can also head out that way. So cleared quite a bit to allow some airflow. And then over on this section on the left-hand side of the greens complex, I mean, we had maybe 10 feet of space before it turned into unplayable area. So everything ranging from locust trees. We cut some locust trees down. Right in this area, there were about 4 or 5 ash trees that were leaning over the green. So that was a safety concern. We're still working on getting this in a little bit better playing shape, but I definitely have some videos that I can show of what it used to look like. This green always used to struggle. And that tint of brown you see on the green now is actually top dressing. We just top dressed our greens this morning. Anyway, yeah, the green just struggled from about this time, about the end of July, beginning of August. Not only struggled with weak roots and burning out, you know, also with disease pressure. This was kind of our indicator green for a while, which showed us, you know, when we were going to have disease outbreaks. So, and now, man, it's been about 2 years since we've seen anything on this green. So quite a bit of improvement just by backing some trees off, clearing it out, creating some airflow. Even though we're still running into some shade issues, this area has really come a long way. So wanted to show everybody the benefits of clearing some trees. This particular example isn't necessarily 100% due to trees, but it is a big factor. It definitely helps weaken the area. Here you can see we have a maple tree, and then on this side we have a locust. And actually I kind of look all down here and there's quite a bit of locusts. So again, they are known surface rooters, and you can see this area just isn't having it. Another big player in this particular area is traffic, cart traffic. So the tee boxes are located back here, and everybody's natural instinct once they tee off is they come from the tee box and then just drive straight through this area. So you know, it's I can't, we're not going to get rid of this maple. One, it's a beautiful tree. I shouldn't be using that term for this type of video because it's a golf course, not a park. But anyway, it is a beautiful tree nonetheless, and it actually comes into play. It shapes the hole. You know, it's pretty much right dead smack middle of your tee shot, and it forces you to play to the left or right of it. So, and depending on your skill level, it like mine, for instance, is not very good. It definitely makes this hole very difficult for me. So it's still a fun hole and everything, but this is a tree that we're going to have to keep here. The best option for us in this particular area is we have to do better with our traffic control. So this year we really emphasized cart traffic. The way the course is designed, there's only so many places that you can go on a golf cart, but we try our best to minimize compaction and just where everybody tends to want to go. So this is another area, like I said, that we're going to have to just work on traffic control because we're not getting rid of this tree. Another big issue on the course are standing dead trees. What standing dead means is the tree is still upright, but it's no longer alive. A great example of this are ash trees. The emerald ash borer came through several years ago and have pretty much eaten the tree alive, therefore causing it to be killed. And now it's our responsibility to get these trees down on the ground safely. This tree right behind me is a good example. The top of it has already started falling out, and that's what happens. They become so brittle that windstorms or ice storms cause limbs and even big parts of the trees to come crashing down. So if you get a very windy day during the season and we have golfers out, it's very dangerous for them. We don't want any accidents to happen, obviously. So yeah, we got to get these trees down on the ground as quick as possible. Now this is a mulberry, and it isn't dead, but it's a prolific fast grower. And what happens when trees are fast growers, they basically become brittle. So even though it's not technically dead, it's might as well be. You can actually see here the crack of the trunk. It's literally split into two, and what happens when it grew up and started sprouting off different limbs, it's basically the weight has split it apart. So this is a tree we're going to have to take care of very soon, because it's going to fall down on its own. But you can see just how unsafe these mulberries are, and we got more of these on the course than what I'm proud to say of. So this is going to be one of the trees on our to-do list this winter. Out here on Four Valley, here's another example of what problems these can cause. They drop a lot of things, leaves, twigs. Locusts have bean pods, which are starting to drop as we speak. But it just creates a mess. It's just, it doesn't really affect the turf per se, but I mean, it's just messy. And when people come out to golf, not only do they want to have a good round of golf, but they want to enjoy the landscape. And things like this just look trashy. So we got to get our blowers out, and here's a good example of all the bean pods. And this is the time of the season when it's really going to start unleashing these things. So wherever there's a locust tree with thorns, there's another bad issue. It's covered with thorns. Anyway, they're going to start unleashing all these bean pods, which means our blowers are going to be out in full force. Luckily, it coincides with leaf season. Cleaning up the bean pods, and then when the leaves start dropping, gotta clean those up too. You can see how messy a walnut tree can be. We have a lot of these out in the course, but not only do they drop their leaves and everything, but they drop all the walnuts, and those golf ball sized seeds wreak havoc on a mower. Not only a real mower, but a rotary mower as well. So we have a few of them, actually a lot of them, hanging over tee boxes, bunkers, fairways, and yeah, creates some good problems. So they're beautiful trees to look at, but pain in the butt on the golf course. The nice thing about having trees on a golf course is the fall colors. They look really beautiful, showcasing the yellows, oranges, reds, sometimes purple. Then you got this. They unleash like crazy. This was after we had some rain yesterday evening through the morning, and they all want to come down. So with the golf course being covered or have trees on majority of the holes, every hole looks pretty much like this. We have this blower here, a toe behind, and we also have a 3-point hookup tractor blower, and it's out on the other side of the course. But this takes a while to clean up, and right now golfers are out wanting to play, and they got to play through this. So we can only go as fast as what the blowers allow us to blow, and especially with the winds, we're supposed to get 35 to 40 mile an hour gust this afternoon. It'll pretty much, we'll get this all cleaned up, and then this afternoon it'll look like this again until all the leaves are off the trees. But here's another issue. Another issue with trees on a golf course are prolonged frost delays. As you can see, the shadows casted across 3 Lakes Green here is preventing the sun from burning off the frost. It's actually 11:30 right now, and 100% of the green is still frost covered. So when people drive in and they look out on the golf course and they don't see any frost, they assume everywhere else on the course is okay. But actually there are many holes throughout Ironwood that are running along creek banks, and a lot of our creek banks are tree lined, and things like this happens. So it's pretty frustrating as a superintendent. We want to open the course just as bad as anybody else, and issues like this cause us to hold golfers off. Frost is not something that you want to be having carts and people walking on and playing on, because it could severely injure the grass plant, and it can actually kill it too. So, clearing out trees around greens and stuff open these up, and it allows the sun's heat to melt the frost off quicker. So this is just another prime example of issues that trees can cause on a golf course. So here I want to show you that we just don't cut down trees. We also plant them as well, but we do plant the right tree in the right place. This is between 6th and 7th Valley. There was pretty much a clear cut between these 2 holes. There was a bunch of ash trees, and due to the ash borer, they cut all of them down, ground out all the stumps. It was pretty much the winter before I got here, so I wasn't in charge of that, obviously. But problem with that is it opened these 2 holes wide open. So therefore what used to be a challenging hole for both of them became stupidly easy. Not so much 7 as it did 6, but basically you never got penalized for a bad shot. So we're planting trees back here to bring back the degree of difficulty. And for example, this next to me is an American sweet gum. This is a perfect spot for it. And then probably my favorite down on the end, we put some bald cypresses in. It's an area down there that it's a low spot. It heavy clay soils, and it stays wet longer than what we would like for it to do. So the bald cypresses are going to really thrive in those conditions. They kind of like wet, heavy clay soil. So it's going to be a perfect tree for down there, and it's also, we position them in really good spots to help teers off of 7th Valley tee, and then it's also going to help block some shots if people do end up on the wrong side on 6th Valley. It's going to create a level of difficulty for them as well. So